Captain, before we step onto this trust and faith island, tell me, what does believe make you feel when it means thinking something is true, having faith in someone or something, and accepting a story even when it feels surprising? Meaning 1. To think something is true, to accept it as a fact. Used when you accept information as true. Example. Captain, I believe the map is accurate. Common use. Believe that, believe it. Believe the report. Believe the map. Meaning 2. To have faith or trust in someone or something, to rely on. Used for confidence in a person, team, or idea. Example. Captain, I believe in this crew. Common use. Believe in yourself, believe in them, believe in the plan. Believe in us. Meaning 3. To accept something as real or true even if it seems unusual. To be convinced. Used when something sounds surprising but you accept it. Example. Captain, I can't believe how fast the fog vanished. Common use. Can't believe it. Hard to believe. Believe your eyes. Believe your eyes. Believe can mean accepting a fact. Believe that. Trusting someone or an idea. Believe in. Or reacting to something surprising. Can't believe. Build your confidence like stone, Captain. Carry belief for facts you accept, for trust that holds the crew together. And for those moments so surprising you can hardly believe your eyes as we sail to the next island. Captain, before we step onto this take and return island, tell me, what does borrow make you feel when it means taking something to return later, receiving money as a loan, and using an idea or phrase from someone else? Meaning 1. To take something for a short time and return it. Used when you use something temporarily, then give it back. Example. Captain, may I borrow your compass for 1 minute? Common use. Borrow a book. Borrow your phone. Borrow from a friend. Borrow and return. Meaning 2. To receive money from someone, a bank or person, with the plan to pay it back. Used for loans and debt. Example. They borrowed money to repair the engine. Common use. Borrow money. Borrow from the bank. Borrow a loan. Borrow funds. Meaning 3. To take and use an idea, style, or phrase from somewhere else. Used when you use something inspired by another source. Example. Captain, Atlas borrowed a tactic from old naval manuals. Common use. Borrow an idea, borrow a phrase, borrow from tradition. Borrowed tactic. Borrow always carries the idea of taking something from another source, then returning it, objects, paying it back, money, or using it with acknowledgement or influence. Ideas. Build with respect, Captain. Carry borrow for tools you return, For money you repay, and for ideas you borrow wisely to strengthen the voyage as we sail to the next island. Captain, before we step onto this curve and yield island, tell me, what does bend make you feel when it means forming a curve? Leaning your body down and changing rules or principles under pressure. Meaning 1. To curve or make something curved, not straight. Used when something changes shape into a curve. Example, don't bend the metal hook, keep it straight. Common use, bend a wire, bend the bar, bent shape. Bend risk. Meaning 2. To lean your body forward or down, to move into a curved posture, used for bending your knees, back, or head. Example, Atlas bent down to pick up the dropped bolt. Common use, bend down, bend over, bend your knees. Bend down. Meaning 3. To yield or change rules or standards, to soften under pressure. Used when someone compromises principles or rules. Example, the inspector wouldn't bend the rules for late cargo. Common use, bend the rules, bend under pressure, bend to demands. Bend the rules. Bend can describe a physical curve, bend the metal, a body movement, bend down, or a figurative compromise, bend the rules. The object after the verb, metal, knees, rules, usually makes the meaning obvious. Stay strong but flexible, Captain. Carry bend for shaping what must curve, for lowering your body with control, and for knowing when rules bend or when they must hold firm as we sail to the next island. Captain, before we step onto this try and effort island, tell me, what does attempt make you feel when it means trying to do something, an effort that may succeed or fail, and an action aimed at doing something difficult or risky? Meaning 1. To try to do something. Used when you make an effort to do an action. Example, Captain, we will attempt to repair the mast before night. Common use, attempt to fix, attempt to escape, attempt to solve. Attempt repair. Meaning 2. An effort or try. Used for a single try, especially when the result is not certain. Example, the first attempt failed, but the second held strong. Common use, first attempt, final attempt, a failed attempt. Attempt number 2. Meaning 3. A purposeful action aimed at achieving something difficult, often used for serious goals. Used for major goals or high-stakes actions. Example, the attempt to cross the storm channel was bold. Common use, attempt to reach, attempt on a record, attempt at a breakthrough. Attempt the crossing. Attempt works as both a verb, attempt to do, and a noun, make an attempt. It often implies difficulty or uncertainty, and it can sound more formal than try, especially for serious or high stakes actions. Build through effort, Captain. Carry attempt for the try you begin, for the effort you log and improve, and for the brave attempt that moves you forward, even when the sea resists as we sail to the next island. Captain, before we step onto this scene and context island, tell me, what does backdrop make you feel when it means a background behind a scene? A setting that shapes an event, and something that stays in the background while the main action happens. Meaning 1. A background behind a scene, especially for photos, film, stage. Used for the visual background you see behind the main subject. Example: the cliffs made a perfect backdrop for the crew photo. Common use: photo backdrop, stage backdrop, backdrop scenery. Backdrop ready. Meaning 2. The setting or context that shapes an event. Used for the circumstances behind what is happening. Example: against the backdrop of rising winds, the crew worked faster. Common use: against the backdrop of political backdrop, historical backdrop. Backdrop, winds rising. Meaning 3. Something that stays in the background while the main action happens. Used for secondary elements that are present but not the focus. Example: the island music was a soft backdrop to the meeting, Captain. Common use: in the backdrop. Backdrop noise, a backdrop to conversation. Backdrop only. Backdrop is most literal in visual settings, a backdrop for a photo. But it also means the wider context behind events, against the backdrop of. It can even describe background elements, sound, activity, scenery, that support the main focus without taking attention. Set the scene with builder clarity, Captain. Carry backdrop for the background you frame, for the context that shapes your choices, and for the quiet support that stays behind the main action as we sail to the next island.